All right, so on the back, it has this first function, y equals 2. So this is a 2 sine of 4 theta. So we're gonna say it starts at, so it starts at 1. Nope, just kidding. It starts at 0 since we're talking about sine. So again, make sure you're seeing those two differences. Sine starts at 0, where cosine starts at 1. All right, so let's graph this out. So we have our amplitude A is going to be 2. So that means we go up to positive 2 and down to negative 2. Our value of B is attached to our variable theta, so we're going to say it's going to be 4. So that's going to be our number of peaks from 0 to 360. So that means I go up, that means this, I go up to positive 2 4 times. And I can double check that when we graph it out, but I want to make that claim first. Okay, make sure you have your period as 360 divided by B, so we have divided by 4 in this case, and so that means this, 90 degrees is going to be our period, so that means from 0 to 90, I'm going to have 5 points. So be very careful when you're drawing these out. Again, if you need to, pause, make sure you have your values lined up, please do. So again, what I do is this, I draw my circle, and I'm saying, okay, for sine, I start at 0, and so I'm gonna say for 0 degrees, and 90 degrees are going to be my start and end point. As I'm rotating around the circle, make sure you're saying, okay, what's halfway between 0 and 90? Well, that's going to be 45 degrees. And then halfway between 0 and 45, this one's a little bit weirder, but it's okay. We're going to say it's 22.5 degrees. And so where did I get that 22.5? Well, always double check for yourself. I can say 45 divided by 2 is going to be that 22.5. So I said halfway between 0 and 45 is that point 22.5. And then I can say halfway between 45 and 90 is just going to be 45 plus that amount. So I'm going to say this is 67.5 degrees. So again, if you're ever unsure where I get these values from, please do ask. I am there to assist. All right, so now let's say, what are going to be my values that go along with it? So on the x-axis, I'm saying, okay, at 0 and 90 degrees, I have my y value of 0. I rotate around to 22.5 degrees is gonna be positive 4. Keep rotating around, we hit 0 again at 45 degrees, and then we go down to negative 4 at 67.5 degrees. So that's going to be my rotation in my 5 values. So I start at 0, I go halfway in between 0 and 45, I'm at my positive force all the way up here. So again, notice how I go all the way up. So let me actually label these. So I have 0 degrees and 0. This is 0 degrees, nope. This is 22.5 degrees, 22.5 degrees, and positive 4. I go up, and now I have to go down, so at 45 degrees, I have 0 again. So I'm saying 45 degrees and 0. So I go up, down, keep going down, so at 67.5 degrees, I have negative 4. And now I go back up to my starting point. Again, start and end point have to have the same y value. So I have 90 degrees as 0. And so notice I have those 5 points, and then I repeat myself. So again, what I can do is this. I can say, okay, 0, and then I have 4, 0, negative 4, 0. So notice I have these 5 points now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Again, if you're unsure of those values, again, all you're doing is you're repeating yourself after that one rotation. So I have 0, 4, 0, negative 4, and 180, and then it repeats itself. So 0, 4, 0, negative 4, 0, 4, 0, -4, and 0. I claimed that we went up to our amplitude. I knew I messed up somewhere. Okay, here we go. Always double check. I said I went up to 2, so I knew that was a mistake. That's okay. Easily fix this, so let's go back. I'm only human, so I make mistakes, it's okay. But it's an easy correction. So I was saying that we go up to 2. Our amplitude is 2. I knew that seemed wrong. Okay, 22.5 and our y value is 2, and that means that these values go down to -2. Okay, I knew something was off about this. So probably at this point, if you're paying attention, you're probably going to hear lots of complaints, but that's okay, because we are capable of fixing those mistakes. So I'm going to say this is 67.5 degrees, and we have -2. Okay, always double check your answers, that way you know you're good. So that means this. Okay, so I went up to 2, down to -2, end at 0, up to 2, down to -2 and 0, 2, -2, 2, -2 and 0. Okay. So I wanted to double check that because I was saying this. At the very start I said, okay, I have 4 peaks. That means I'm going to go up to +2 4 times. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks on this function. Always double check for yourself. So I'm going to say y equals 2 times the sine of 4x, close that parenthesis, hit graph, and let's see, okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks. So again, notice how I have those 4 peaks, 1, 2, 3, 4, from 0 to 360. Also, I can double check, so I can say, all right, let's do second table, because I want to look at my table of values, and you notice, hey, it lists from, it has the change in x as 1. So what I want to do is I want to hit that plus sign, so I hit plus, and I can change my x values. I want to change it by 45 degrees. So that means, let me double check that. So I have, let me do this, let me do second table set. So start at 0, change of table is 45, so let's do that, and let's hit y equals so again, I'm going up to 2 and down to -2. Again, I can hit that trace. Since that table wasn't working out for me, I can at least hit that trace button. So I'm saying, okay, let's double check these values first. That way we're good. Okay, so I said, all right, at x equals 0, my y value is 0. And you can kind of see, notice how it's that decimal amount. What I can do is I can say, all right, 22.5 is going to be 2. I have my other point or other peak at 67.5 degrees is -2. All right, so I was wondering why my table wasn't working here, but I'm saying this, I'm saying my change in table, that means that each of these quadrants is changing by 22.5. That was my mistake. Usually it's 45, but we can set it to what we want. So we're saying each point I have 22.5, and so now when I hit second graph, now I have my table of values. Okay, a little bit concerned there, but we're good. So I have 0, when x is 22.5, I have 2 as my y value. When x is 45, I have y value of 0. When x is 67.5, my y value is -2. And when x is 90 degrees, my y value is 0. And so I know that that repeats itself after that. So again, I should end at 360, which is 0 degrees, or excuse me, 360 degrees ends at y equals 0. It's a little bit trickier on that one, but I always can double check our answers so that way we know we're good. So again, make sure you can change that table for yourself. Actually, we'll change it for that next function. All right, so now all in the last one, I can say my function starts, since it's cosine, it starts at 1. So that means I'm going to have that circle go to the top. So my amplitude A is going to be 1/4. So this is the same as 0.25. So it's going to be a really short function. So when you're thinking of amplitude, you're thinking of how tall it is. And when you're thinking of period, you're thinking of that accordion, how short, or excuse me, how wide it is. And so we're going to say our value of B is going to be 3. So that means we're going to have a number of peaks from 0 to 360 is going to be 3. We're going to say our period is going to be 360 divided by 3, which is 120 degrees. So when you have this, make sure you're saying, okay, I'm going to have 5 points from 0 to 120. So when I draw my circle, since I'm working with cosine, I start at the top. This is going to be, like I said, it's going to be a short function in terms of its height. So I'm going to say it starts at, what is this, 0 degrees, and it ends at 120 degrees. And the y value that goes along with that is going to be that positive 0.25, or you could say 1/4. Either way it works. So now let's see, I have rotating down around, halfway between 0 and 120 is 60 degrees, and so that's going to be negative 0.25. Halfway between 0 and 60 is 30 degrees, so my y value is going to be 0, and halfway between 120 and 60 is going to be 90 degrees, and so my y value is also going to be 0. All right, so again, we said our start and end point has to be the same. So again, I'm starting at, again, you can have kind of in between 0 and 1 is where we're working, about 1/4. We're going to say it's going to be about right there because we're saying it's about 1/4 positive, and then we're going to say at 120 degrees, which is about right there, is going to be our end point. So we're saying, okay, we have 0 and then 0.25. We go down, we have 30 degrees, and y value is 0, and then we have 60 degrees. 60 degrees is going to be negative 2.5. Let me try labeling these. I have 0, 0. I have 30, sorry, this is 0, and then 1/4. There we go. This is 30, 0. This is 60 and negative 1/4. This is at 90 degrees. We have 0, so we're going to say like this. I have, where's that? 90 degrees, and our y value is 0. And then right here we have 120 degrees, and our y value is positive 1/4. Okay, so we have our 5 critical values. Again, notice how it kind of curves down and then up. It's really close to that x-axis since our amplitude is only 1/4. So that means I'm going to repeat myself after that. So I have like this. So now I go, what are going to be my other values? Well, I can use this technology as well to help me out. So let's say I have y equals 0.25 cosine of 3x. Hit enter. Let's see what the graph looks like first. So it goes down, up, down, up, down, up. And so we have 1, 2, 3 peaks, just like I was saying. And if you need to, you can, zoom in. But what I want to do is this. I want to trace my values. And so I'm saying, let's do second graph. And I want to press the plus button to change my table. So I'm gonna say my change in my table is 30 degrees, meaning every 30 degrees I have a new y value. So let's do like this. Let's do table set. I want to start at 0. There we go. And we do our values. Okay. Always want to double check. That way we know we're good. Okay, so at x equals 0, our y value is 0.25. When x equals 30 degrees, our y value is 0. When x equals 60 degrees, our y value is negative 1/4. When x equals 9 degrees, our y value is 0. And then we start repeating ourselves after 120. So I wanted to double check so that way we are good. So my next value, 150. So about right there, I have this is 0. I have at 180 is that negative 1/4. At 210 is 0. And then at 225, or excuse me, 240. At 240, we have 0.25, 270, 0. 300 is that 0.25 negative. We have 330, yeah, 330 is 0, and then we end at 360 because we're saying we have 1, 2, 3 peaks. So again, this is super simple. Once you get some more practice with it, use that circle to figure out what your points are, draw them out, and as always, super slam that subscribe button.